All you folks in the back that didn't respond, you guys can get out now. Oh, wait. Look at this. We're 45 feet below the surface. Just so you know, it's kind of tricky to get off the submarine. Once it has submerged as little as 2 to 3 feet, reason being is the weight of the water pushing down on top of the hatches makes them humanly impossible to open. The only way truly to get off the submarine once it has submerged is via a torpedo tube. And I reserve the right to use a torpedo tube for unruly children and teenagers. Anyway, let me give you a quick tour of the sub. If you look up forward here, you're going to see a depth gauge, let you know how deep you are at any given moment. We have air conditioning on board. You can adjust the nozzles above your viewports as you see fit. In between the viewports is a dive guide. It's going to give you a basic understanding of where we're going and some of the things we're going to be seeing. We're going to be visiting not one, but 2 deep water plate coral reefs. We're going to check out some artifacts along the way. We're going to go visit an artificial reef called the Carthaginian, and then we're going to go land this bad ready right on the bottom in about 125, 130 feet of water, depending on the tide. All that safety gear located in the compartments directly in front of your knees, and that's all controlled by our co-pilot, Pearson. Everybody say, hey, Pearson! All right, make sure he stays awake. He's got the keys to the safety gear. Never gonna happen. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, as you can see, we are descending nicely into the water column, and if you look out and look down, you're going to see the bottom of the Out channel honing into view here at about 90 feet. Now, can anybody tell me what that white sandy looking stuff is down there? Sand. Excellent. Good. Yep, that's sand. And that brown corally looking stuff? Coral. Perfect. You guys are batting 1,000. I love it. So we're going to be doing what's called a dual-sided or double-sided tour. We're going to pull up on one side of a point of interest. We're going to be pulling up, it looks like the starboard side won the coin toss. So you guys are going to get the first views of the South Reef, and then we will pull up, turn around, and go back in the opposite direction. Guys, on the port side, your job is to find me an octopus. Because I guarantee you, there's probably 3 or 4 of them looking at the submarine right now going, what is that crazy looking gizmo? So keep your eyes peeled for octopus. Starboard side, you're going to be seeing all sorts of amazing stuff here in just a moment. Now, this particular reef, what we call the South Reef, is what's known as a deep water plate coral reef. It only grows in water deeper than about 50 to 350 feet. Main reason being is it doesn't grow any deeper has to do with the fact that sunlight gets pretty sparse the more you descend into the water column. And that will become evident to anybody who's wearing a red shirt. Anybody got anything red on? Red shirt, red shoes, red hat. Sunglasses. There's sunglasses over here. You hold those up and look at these things. They look like they've been, plugged in. They're glowing. This is another phenomenon called UV amplification, ultraviolet amplification. Anybody got any red clothing on? Red shirt, red shoes. What do your shoes look like right now? They're kind of purple. Yeah. Yeah, that's another phenomenon called color absorption. I'll tell you more about it in a minute. But right now, starboard side, I want you guys to see what's going on out here. So if you look out on the starboard side, all sorts of amazing fish. One in particular out in the middle of the reef called a coronet fish. It's super long, slender. He's about 4 feet long. Looks like a stick figure. Now this particular reef, as I mentioned a few moments ago, is not the kind of coral you get to see anywhere near the surface. Main reason being is it would not hold up to the wind, wave, and tidal action that we see near the top. It grows in deeper, still water, and it would basically cause, it would self-destruct if it were anywhere near the surface because of all that wind, wave, and tidal action.
35 метров.
Anyhow, we're going to pivot around here. Give the port side an opportunity to check it out. See what other kind of cool stuff we can find here. Now, one of the things you may notice is that the fish are relaxed. They're floating way up high over the reef. And that's what I call riding high. They're relaxed. They're not worried about predators. There doesn't seem to be any in the area. And these big silvery fish that are coming up alongside the submarine are called the Big Eye Emperor. The Big Eye Emperor. In Hawaiian, they are called a kane fish. The word kane means man in Hawaiian. They're also known as a moo fish. So they are the kane moo fish, which means they are the man executioner fish. And main reason being is they have a mouthful of human-like teeth, and they use them to grind up their prey, which is me. Woohoo! What just showed up? Everybody got really, really jumpy. Oh, this big bluefin trevally underneath us. Keep your eyes out for the bluefin trevallies. These guys are the most aggressive predator we see down here. The bluefin trevally are more aggressive than the sharks, the eels, the octopus when it comes to predation. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're like a 2. Now, the sharks, eels, and octopus are pretty low down on the list. They're like 8, 9, and 10. So if the sharks, the eels, and octopus are down low, and a fish is number 2, what do you think the most aggressive predator we see is? Orcas. We don't see too many orcas down here, but you're heading in the right direction. It is a marine mammal. Dolphins, exactly. Dolphins are the most aggressive predator we see down here. Well, one of the more interesting things you're going to see down here is a pair of Hawaiian cleaner wrasse that are out in the middle of the reef, and a big, what's known as a bullethead parrotfish. And he's got these little tiny yellow and purple fish are flitting around him, cleaning his skin, pulling off any little bits of algae or parasites that might be growing on the scales. And they provide a service for all sorts of fish, including sharks. Been documented cases of sharks swimming into the mouth, or the cleaner wrasse swimming into the mouth of a shark, cleaning in between its teeth and swimming out completely unharmed. So as I was mentioning to you before, this one of the more unusual things about coral reefs is that they are very, very, very slow-growing organisms. This particular reef is estimated to be between 12 and 1,400 years old. Coral reefs are some of the oldest living known organisms on the planet. Oldest reef ever discovered was over 6,000 years old. And just to give you a little context, that's older than human written language. So we are going to turn here and make our way over towards the North Reef and head out across what we call coral gardens. And it's a different type of coral called finger coral. Looks like bony little fingers growing up off the bottom. And you're going to notice a drastic shift in the fish population. So I'm going to try and plant a seed using a little bit of a really bad joke. So if you've got large coral, lots of fish. Small coral, not so many fish. You guys ready for the bad joke? There's a correlation there. I know, it's painful. It's really painful, I get it. But it gives me an opportunity to explain some vital concepts. 90% of all marine life live within 3 to 4 miles of a coastline, and that's where 98% of the reefs are found. So if we lose the reefs, we lose the vast majority of marine life. Without marine life, we end up with deserts as oceans, and nobody can afford for that to happen. So we got to start making a shift and making a change in behavior. And one of the biggest shifts that people on board this sub can make has to do with sunscreen. Whenever you swim within 50 miles of a coral reef, or whenever you swim in salt water, period, make sure you're wearing only what's known as reef-safe sunscreen or mineral-based sunscreen. Do a little research. There are some nefarious companies out there that are billing themselves as manufacturing reef-safe sunscreen when in fact they're not. But do a little research, do a little digging, check it out, and we all make that shift, can make a big impact. So, do you guys see an anchor over there on the starboard side?